Welcome to Alice Just Alice 55. You're listening to an AI-narrated audiobook version of my original story, The Unclaimed Werewolf, an Unbound Wolves novel, written by Alice N. Smith. Chapter 29, Where What Endures is Tested. Brooks had taught this lesson dozens of times, to pups, to young wolves preparing for their first winter, to those who had grown up in warm dens with elders who believed knowledge was something you inherited by proximity. None of them had stood like Nora did. She watched without impatience, without distraction, eyes fixed on his hands as if missing a single movement might cost her later. The deer lay between them, already cleaned of surface debris, its weight settled into the ground like something final and unquestioned. "First," Brooks said, "you don't rush this." She snorted softly. "I don't rush much." He glanced at her, then back to the knife in his hand. "Good. Most people ruin hides by being eager." She was wrapped in the cloak he'd brought her. His cloak, technically, though it had never felt like his until she'd put it on. The fur framed her shoulders, dark against her skin, the weight of it sitting easily on her as if it had always belonged there. He told himself not to notice. He failed. She crouched opposite him, bare feet planted in the soil, posture relaxed but alert. No squeamishness, no hesitation, just focus. "You start at the joints," he continued. "Less resistance, cleaner separation." She leaned in slightly, eyes narrowing. "No tearing," she said. "That weakens it." "Yes," Brooks replied, surprised despite himself. "How did you know that?" "I didn't," she said, "but it makes sense." It did. That was the problem. She didn't lack intelligence or instinct. She lacked exposure. The fact that she had survived, thrived, without instruction in things most packs considered foundational, made something in his chest shift. Not pity, respect. He worked carefully, narrating only what mattered: where to angle the blade, how to pull the hide free without stretching it, how to read resistance in muscle and connective tissue. She asked questions when something wasn't obvious. She didn't when it was. At one point, she took the knife from him without asking, mimicking his last cut precisely. He let her. "Pressure there," he said quietly, reaching out to guide her wrist. He stopped himself before touching her. She adjusted on her own, better. "Most wolves," he said after a moment, "are taught this before their first winter." She huffed. "Most wolves don't live alone." "No," Brooks agreed. "They don't." The hide came free cleanly. She held it up, examining it with a critical eye. "Now what?" He smiled before he could stop himself. "Now you keep it from rotting." She listened as intently to this part as she had the rest, scraping, salting, stretching. The work was slower, more methodical, less dramatic. Important. She wrinkled her nose slightly at the salt. "Smells." "Yes," Brooks said. "So does rot if you do it wrong." She glanced at him. "You make this sound unpleasant." "It is," he replied. "That's why people skip steps." She nodded once. "I won't." He believed her. That realization settled deeper than it should have. As they worked, Brooks found himself cataloging things he had no business cataloging. The strength in her hands, the economy of her movement, the way she absorbed instruction without submission. She never deferred to him. She evaluated him. He respected that. More than that, he liked it. That was unexpected. When she shifted her weight, the cloak slid slightly, exposing the curve of her collarbone before she tugged it back into place. The motion was unconscious, practical. The sight was not. Brooks looked away immediately, jaw tightening. Get a grip. He'd dealt with attraction before. It wasn't rare. It wasn't dangerous. This felt different. This felt earned, which made it worse. You should store the hides elevated, he said, voice steady. Keeps pests out, improves airflow. She nodded. I'll build something. Good. She glanced at him. You assume I can. I've seen your den, Brooks replied. You built that without instruction. Her mouth twitched despite herself. That wasn't difficult. No, it wasn't. And neither, he suspected, was she. By the time the second hide was laid out, the sun had dipped lower, light slanting through the trees in long bands. Nora straightened slowly, stretching once, careful of her injury. She didn't reach for the cloak this time. She didn't need to. Brooks watched her for a moment longer than necessary, then looked away before it became obvious. She was formidable, resourceful, intelligent, and she had gotten here without anyone teaching her how. The admiration crept in quietly. So did the attraction. He told himself it was proximity, circumstance, the satisfaction of seeing knowledge put to immediate use. He did not believe himself. As they cleaned their hands at the creek, Nora glanced at him sideways. You're tolerable, she said, for someone who talks a lot. He smiled before he could stop himself. I'll take that. She walked ahead of him toward the den, cloak settling comfortably around her shoulders. Brooks followed at a respectful distance, secretly and entirely against his better judgment, pleased that she hadn't taken it off. Not yet. And that pleased him far more than it should have.